Welcome to the Map Suite Web API learning sample on how to query data. In this sample, we're going to show you multiple ways of how to query your map data layers through SQL queries, spatial queries, and clicking on the map. To get started, let's look at the different types of query tools we show you how to use in this sample. The first one we have is Spatial Query. Spatial Query allows you to find things or take one feature and find how they interrelate with other features. For example, here we've got a blue box that we've drawn on top of the map, and we want to find all the countries that are completely within that blue box. As you can see, there are several different spatial query types. For example, if we do intersects, that will show all the countries that touch this blue box in any way. So even if a little piece of Libya here, it will still be included in the results. There's several other examples of these spatial queries. You can go through each of them and see how you can get different results by using different query types. Another popular way to query with the mapping and GIS application is by distance. In this sample here, we've queried all the countries that are within 2,000 kilometers of this point. And you don't always have to use a point. You can use other features such as polygons or lines to do distance queries as well, but the point makes a good example here. If we change the distance to 5,000, you'll see that it will select far more countries because there's a lot more within 5,000 kilometers of that point. The next sample here, we are showing how there's an interrelationship between the tabular or feature data associated with each shape. So for example, here we're showing a grid representation of all the countries of the world. And if we click on one of these grid items, we can actually zoom into that country. This can be very helpful if you want to have a grid in your application and be data driven, and vice versa. Another common piece of functionality we'll have in mapping applications is being able to click on the map and find the feature data associated with what you clicked on. So here, if we click on Brazil, we can see all the column values that are returned. So this is implementing the map click event and then also showing you how to query through the API to return the various attribute data in your data layer. Last, we also unlocked the power of SQL to allow you to write custom queries against your data sources. So here we wrote a SQL query to return any countries that are landlocked. And we have APIs within MapSuite that will allow you to execute that SQL query and return any of the results. And here we're highlighting those countries on the map. So that can be very powerful if you want to give your users different ways to do analysis on the map data, and you can display those results accordingly. So with that said, let's take a look at the code now. Here we have the code loaded in Visual Studio, and like most of our web API samples, we have it both for leaflets and open layers, which is what we're using for our client-side JavaScript mapping library. All of the JavaScript that you would need is in this ThinkGeo.js file, and you can see within here of how we've implemented the different events for like clicking on the map or switching between the different options on the sample to do that. So it gives you a good example of where to pull code from so you can emulate some of these features and functionality in your own application. Next, let's take a look at the server-side code, and that's going to be here in the Query Tools controller. Like most of our web API samples, we've built some REST web API endpoints for our JavaScript client to call. And you can see we have these different methods here for doing the spatial query, getting the query within a certain distance, and querying all the attribute data too. So all the code's contained within here to give you a good head start to start implementing this functionality within your application. Most of all of these, I think all of these actually, APIs are going to be off the Query Tools namespace on the layer. So if you look through each of these, you can find the important APIs right after the Query Tools namespace on the layer. To get access to this source code, all you need to do is bring up Product Center and click on the Map Suite at Web API Edition on the left, and we have all our code samples listed in here. And these actually pull from our wiki, so you can easily download and launch all this code in Visual Studio, step through it, get to know it a little bit better. If you don't want to go actually load it in Visual Studio, you can also click here and view it on the wiki as well. If you have any questions at all, we have a very active discussion forum up on our website where you can ask a lot of technical questions, and we monitor them daily and respond. And we really like to hear from the community about what questions they have and also how we can improve the product. I hope this video has been helpful, and please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.